Okay, let me figure this out. Trying to figure out how to invite people. Guest requests. What's up, everyone? Hopefully, people will join. If you're available, I understand this is during working hours for a lot of people, but please don't hesitate to join in our discussion. Gotta figure out how to get man up on here. Hey, doing good. Doing good. How about yourself? Hopefully, I'm not cutting out or nothing. I can't figure out what I'm doing. Not good at this stuff. 2 viewers now. But it's only showing 1. Did you watch any of the wrestling, the many hours and hours of wrestling this weekend that happened at all kinds of different times in addition to WrestleMania? Yeah, we're going to get into some stuff here in a minute. Oh, this is so odd. I do not know what I'm doing. That's bright. For me, anyway. What? I don't know what I just did. I am technologically impaired. Well, what did you watch this weekend? If anything. Oh, that's cool. Pretty red hot weekend this past weekend for professional wrestling in general. Uh, and there's things that are still being talked about all over the news and everything, all over the internet right now, all over it. All right. I can't. There it goes. I don't know what's going on.
Oh man, I'm messing up myself right now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Sorry, I
Trying to
just
figure this
got
out.
home. Just got home from work and woo-wee, long day, long day.
Yeah. Yeah. So now like I've seen talk about wrestling this past weekend. I've seen the Cody Rhodes thing has not stopped yet. Like
I
he
don't
is
think it will.
all over YouTube on every show and everything. It has been nonstop.
I don't think it will stop. Actually, to be honest with you.
I I think I'm amazed. I'm really amazed because they've. Uh, I think a lot of fans are shocked. Not your probably not you because you seem to kind of know this could happen, but like a lot of people are shocked how well WrestleMania was booked, and then on top of that, how hot just everything was coming off of there, like to the point where a lot of people that watch AEW and watching other companies did not know Cody was going to be so red hot coming back to WWE either. But dude, I mean, that crowd sounded like some John Cena people when he was out there Monday. I was like,
I think it sounded like Stone Cold people back in the
yeah,
night.
his reaction was on up there, kind of getting in that region with the Brock Lesnar and the Stone Cold and people like that that got massive ovations and stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. Like, but it's huge. And then he's on every media thing right now. And people are still saying like, oh, they're going to turn him back into Stardust, and he's not going to be. They're not going to push him. I'm like, it kind of looks like they're going with Cody Rhodes. They're going
hey,
hard with him.
put it like this: kind of like when Lita came back, she got that huge pop at the
Yeah,
Royal Rumble. That's why she was in the Elimination Chamber. She
Yeah.
fought Becky Lynch in Saudi Arabia. It's really
Yeah.
how well you're received by the fans.
Yeah. But they shocked him too, like bringing Cody's whole self-made gimmick in there and everything. Like like the whole thing. And he said from his meeting with Vince McMahon that Vince, when he told him that he said, I'm not coming back to do my old stuff. Like he said, I'm coming back and I want to do me. I want to do what I've been doing for the last 6 years that I've built. And Vince McMahon shook his hand and said, that's what I'm buying.
Yeah.
So he wanted what Cody had worked. He wanted it. And he's willing to do whatever it took. But it's surprising that the WWE knew more than I think than anybody knew how hot he'd be when he came back. They knew.
Well, here's the thing though. Sometimes, man, you got to jump ship to, you know what I'm saying, put yourself out there. And
Yeah.
then once you, like Cody Rhodes did, once you jump that ship and you make yourself hot, then you can come back and, you know what I'm saying, be what you were supposed to be in the first place.
Right.
Perfect example, what he just did. And I agree, you know, I didn't really like that Stardust. I didn't like that other character he had, Dashing Cody Rhodes, all that crap.
Yeah.
But hey, he found something and it worked. It's kind of like my favorite wrestler with Kane. He could not find his itch at all. Y'all know about the evil dentist. Y'all know about the fake Diesel. But once he got the character Kane, it was all over. It was all over.
Yeah. He ran with it, and then he had. But you got to have people to make it work too. The Undertaker made it work, and made him a big star. Like, Cody Rhodes would not be this hot right now if it were not for Seth Rollins too. Like making him. Seth Rollins made Cody Rhodes in that match. Boy, he made him.
I could agree.
Like, credit where credit is due. They used Seth's status like as a main eventer, and then Seth gave to him like he did his part. Seth was a nasty heel. Boy, he was nasty in that match and was you know doing all his stuff to get Cody over as the biggest babyface. But man, I'll tell you, that was something else there. I think that was the most. I mean, some people knew it was probably going to be Cody, but then I don't think anybody knew they was going to have that kind of match like they did. And
well,
then
I thought it was Cody. Like I was texting you at first. I was like, well, no, I think Vince gonna go outside the box.
Yeah.
I think Vince gonna say, like I was saying, Elias or maybe, you know what I'm saying, somebody like that, you know, somebody else.
Yeah.
Because it's too obvious that it's Cody. You know what I mean? It's too obvious. So I thought, now I'm thinking somebody else. But hey, it was Cody.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, Kane and Undertaker were both in town that weekend, and it could have been anybody, but like, and Cody said after the match, worst kept secret in wrestling. He just like too many people knew it was going to happen, but they still was on their feet and stuff for him whenever he come up. And they put everything into him. That entrance where he come up through the little elevator thing and everything, like they hitched the whole wagon to him on that. But then on the flip side, I'm shocked that they're like Kevin is talking about Elias. I'm shocked that as hot as Kevin Owens is coming out of it too, working with Austin, they're going to put him in there with Elias, with a new character with a shaved beard.
Yeah, Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's about as over as a fart in church. You know, nobody cares about that. Nobody. That man walked out there, and the fans just looked like, okay.
I was like, what is this? But I was like, hey, he might have to build that up. He might. You never know. Oh man, but that was awesome though. I liked it, that WrestleMania. That reminded me of wrestling period when I was really into it back in the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I kind of got out of it after that, but then one day I watched it again, and I was like, a friend of mine, you know, he said, man, you should watch WrestleMania like 2 years ago. He said, man, you should watch WrestleMania. I said, man, nah, I'm not really into it like that no more. But I watched it, and I was like, and it slowly started coming back.
Yeah.
Now, this WrestleMania, woo-wee.
Yeah. The
Woo,
way
that's
they put
insane.
stuff on both nights made sense. Like the right matches were in, at the main event. They were all like main event matches. They really did a good job booking it. There were no mid card matches on that WrestleMania. They were all top level matches.
Yep.
But sometimes it's about putting it in an order that makes sense. And that's like my criticism for the Ring of Honor show on Friday is they had the big dream match with FTR and the Briscoes, and that was like, it's a 3-hour show, and that was at the top of like hour 2, and that was the match of the night, and it completely exhausted the crowd. And then they put a bunch of garbage matches in front of it, and it's like, all right, this doesn't make sense. This should have been, if you're going like tag team titles, then world title or whatever, then that match should have been right before the main event. So at least like you're not going to put these matches nobody cares about after that. Because I invite anybody to watch that match. That was outside of WWE. That was definitely the best match I saw on any wrestling, just because of who it was, and they tore it down. Like those guys had no build from Ring of Honor, which is now AEW Ring of Honor. Yeah. They had no build from it. They went on social media and talked back and forth to try to build the matchup so people would be interested in it. But turns out the 3,000 or 4,000 people that were in the building, that's what they came to see. Like they were real interested in like that tag team dream match, and they tore it down. That match was over 30 minutes, like long, but it was like 3 people ended up bleeding during the match. Like like it was a nasty fight. Like that was a fight, and both teams. Like right now, that I think that was one of the problems with FTR in WWE is they didn't have a rich enough tag team division, and then every team you can only watch the Usos. It's the same thing with the Usos right now. You can only watch them wrestle the New Day so many times before it's like, do they have anybody else for them to wrestle? Like that's it. Other than that, there's not a lot of good tag teams. You look at Orton and what's his name? Riddle has a shelf life. Like eventually Orton's going to turn or something. Like it has to happen. Like that's not going to go forever. But because they're not a real tag team, they're just really entertaining right now. And people are into it because Orton's like Brock Lesnar. He's showing a different side of his personality that people didn't know he could do.
Speaking of Brock Lesnar, I told my wife this the other day. I said, of all my years of watching wrestling, Brock Lesnar is the only character I do not like. Oh. But lately, this character of Brock Lesnar, this funny, goofy country boy Brock Lesnar, I love it. I love it. I don't know why.
Nobody even knew that was in him.
Maybe because that's me. I'm funny, goofy, and I'm country, so maybe it just. But the old Brock Lesnar, I didn't like it. And Miss O'Shea, if I said that right, said they begged to differ. Seth Seth, to be honest, who I beg to differ with Seth. To be honest, it was Cody who made it.
It takes two, but
well, I'm gonna put it like this. I think Cody was the main attraction in that match, of course, because like you said, everybody knew he was coming. Everybody knew what was going to happen. Even Cody even said that. Now, I think Seth putting himself to the back burner and letting Cody shine, was the big deal. It's not saying who carried who in the match. You can go either way on saying who carried who. You can go either way, but I think Cody coming back and being as big and as hot like that, and you can hear the crowd reaction. I think in back of Seth's mind, he already knew, okay, I'm gonna put myself to the side. I am gonna make this a good match. I'm gonna let him shine, because one thing the Undertaker said this one time before, a while back in a interview, he had to take a step back to let Austin shine, Stone Cold Steve Austin shine, because he knew Stone Cold was the biggest star in the company and becoming the biggest star in the world. Right. Wrestling, that is. So with that being said, he knew if he took a step back, that'll be more revenue for him and for the business.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's what Seth probably did.
And he knew he was making a future opponent to come back to do it again, maybe for the title next time, and have a big main event match coming up. So I think he knew, like, that's what they do. You got to create an opponent for yourself, and people gonna want to see that again. And I think that little handshake scene on Raw was kind of like, we're not going to do this again just yet, but it's coming back. You know, like that kind of Seth and him shaking hands was kind of like the recognition of like mutual respect. And then, eventually you're going to see that you're going to get it again, but it's going to probably might play out a little different, but it's going to be, a big time match on pay-per-view or something eventually when they do get back to it. But at first I thought, because Cody is in the John Cena position on Raw now, because he's doing like the dark matches after the show to send people home happy. After every Raw like went off the air in the past, John Cena used to beat whoever the top, whoever one of the top heels on the company used to be Orton, go out there and Cena just beat him to finish off the show off TV. So everybody would go home like happy that Cena finally beat Randy Orton, even though Randy Orton might be the champion on TV or might be beating him on TV or whatever. So now they kind of put Cody in there with Kevin Owens, and I was thinking, dang, that might be a good program for Cody coming up, because Kevin Owens had a lot of eyes on him working with Stone Cold. Like, it may be a hot time to go with that. If anybody's tuning in to watch Kevin Owens, it's right now, because he just took Austin and carried Austin through a great match when Austin ain't been in the ring in 19 years.
Yeah, Kevin Owens did. Now I will say Kevin Owens did carry Austin, because I remember my wife was watching. I said Austin looked tired, but I said, well, duh, he hasn't been wrestling
57 years old.
Yeah, he hasn't been wrestling. But it's just the fact that a big star like that, you want to see him, whether he's wrestling or not. You want to see him. And Kevin Owens did carry him. He did.
Yeah, he had to. He just no
choice.
choice.
And then that damn night 2, that wasn't even a stunner. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
Vince fell back, and like Vince is like 78 years old. Nah,
yeah.
Vince go sit down somewhere.
Yeah. He looks good for his age.
That's what I said.
He's still in shape and stuff, but it's like
he's strong. He's strong.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to see The Rock take a stunner, but he was the best to ever. Nobody made the stunner look better than The Rock doing that backflip out of it or whatever.
What's his name? Austin Theory just did night 2.
Oh yeah.
And that was he went flying.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately that $70,000 person house, Austin sold the tickets. Let's be honest. Like, it's in Dallas, Texas, and you told him Stone Cold was going to wrestle. So like ultimately that's the guy you thank for the house there. He's the one that packed it out. But that was well done. But now I kind of think, I know that they're probably just temporarily unifying the top belts, but it's like now is the time where you need them back separate, because now it seems like you've built a better main event scene. You got Kevin Owens kind of fitting back into the equation. You got Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and all these guys. Bobby Lashley's kind of out of it now, and I hate to see what he's having to do. I really, it's depressing, because I think Omos should have spent some more time in NXT.
I do too.
He's a big, impressive looking guy, but cannot wrestle. like AJ Styles doing all the work was it. Like when AJ was with him, AJ was taking all the bumps and doing all the work and stuff like that. Omos just had to come in there and finish it off. But oh boy,
that's probably why MVP is now with him now.
Yeah.
But also too, I was thinking this here too. A couple of my coworkers and my wife was saying, they're gonna have one belt now. I said no, because the networks want 2 titles. They want their own champion on their shows.
Yeah.
USA and Fox want their own champion. Vince might be doing something right now. What, I don't know yet. Nobody knows. Yeah. But the network want their own champion, so you cannot make it just one unified champion like it was back in the day. One champion. But at the end of all that, though, I think it's time for Roman Reigns to lose that belt, man. Even though it's been reported that he has a shoulder injury, he finna go sit down, that he tore a muscle. Because I don't know if you watched that part, with Brock Lesnar, he was screaming to Paul Heyman, "Oh man, it's out, it's out, it's out." He was
Yeah, he
holding.
separated his shoulder. You could see it poking and stuff. Like
Yeah.
he separated his shoulder, and then he popped it back in, or somebody popped it back in. I don't know how that
It's time
happened.
for him to go sit down. It's time for him to sit down for a minute.
Yeah,
But that's why I was trying to explain to somebody. The networks want their own champions.
yeah,
Both networks. Even USA, I think it's USA, in whatever network NXT is on, you know, they want their own champion. That's why
right.
Braun Breaker went and got that title back. You know,
Yeah.
because we all know Dolph Ziggler's on Raw. So,
Yeah, he's not going to be on the NXT live events. He's going to be on the Raw live events. He's going to be, because he's a star. Like, they're going to want him on the road with the big time, where him and what's his name, Bobby Roode, are doing their thing and doing, you know, going out there and losing RK Bro or whatever every night. But something, they're going to use them for a purpose. They don't want Dolph Ziggler, who they're paying, you know, 10 times what they're paying NXT guys down there as the champion.
yeah,
That can only go so long, like, before they got to go, okay, now. But yeah, I saw Kevin just said the belt's going to go to Cody. I think it definitely is going to go to Cody eventually, but like how we're going to get that, I don't think it's going to happen overnight for sure. Like I think they're going to tell a nice story. And now Money in the Bank might be something good for them to do with Cody, because he's red hot, and let him hold that briefcase and you know, wait till, you know, but if he does, I really hope they don't do it like they did Big E, because my whole point was that is why, if you're going to make Big E the babyface champion, face of Monday Night Raw, having him win it in a chicken shit way of, like, you know, attacking Bobby Lashley after he already wrestled, like, why would you do that with Big E? Like, he should have, Big E, if he was going to do it, should have challenged him to a match, like on Raw, and just done it straight up like John Cena did when he had the briefcase that time. It's like, a babyface needs to have some honor, right? Like, they're supposed to, you know, come out there and be like, no, I'm cashing it in tonight. We're in the main event or whatever. We're going to have this match for the title, or right now, or whatever it is, to set it off. But I mean, like, I feel like, you know, WWE knew they messed up when they put the briefcase with, what's his name? The dude that's in Alpha, Otis. Everybody knew that was bad. Like, there ain't no way this man's about to be the champion. And people were like,
why did he lose the briefcase? I don't remember.
They took it off him and gave it to the Miz. Somebody they knew could use it correct, you know, would do it right. And the Miz is the perfect guy to do that. If you're going to have somebody attack somebody after a match and steal the belt, that's the guy. Like he's the guy. His whole character is that thing, you know, like the sneaky, you know, the guy that always has a plan. He's, you know, that is the Miz, just like Edge was back when Edge was first getting to the main event level. And, you know, Edge was picture perfect with that original, when he won the first Money in the Bank. Like, they waited to the right moment to steal it off of John Cena after an Elimination Chamber match. They've still kept, I mean, and you kept your champion strong, but like, then Edge was the sneaky heel that took it. I'm like, why would you, Otis? Like,
yeah. And that's one thing I wanted to explain to a lot of people. It's just, okay, everybody, you know, thinks this and that, and, you know, I'm not here to change people's minds, but I'm here to say, I don't know if you saw my video I had posted on YouTube.
Yeah.
That me and my wife went to Monday Night Raw.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. After seeing that, I said, you know what? I gained a lot of respect for how all these people set up everything.
Yeah.
How all this stuff is done. You know, you seeing it and you taking it all in. You're like, wow, they got to do all of this. They got to work as one well-oiled machine the whole 3, 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? However long.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. And you learn, and that's a whole different experience from watching it on TV to actually being there. Yeah. My whole point of saying all that is this. My wife, she like 50-50 on whether wrestling is real or fake. I told her, I say, wrestling is both, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a storyline. They don't really hate each other like they say they do. You know, of course, you know, a lot of people, everybody don't get along, but that's beside the point.
Right.
Just like, you know, say you go to work, you know, you're going to make some friends at work, you know, blah, blah, blah. Stone Cold and The Rock are best friends. You know what I'm saying? But on TV, they couldn't stand each other's guts. Stone
Yeah.
Cold, The Undertaker, The Rock, Mankind, all of them are good friends, but they hated each other. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They knew how to play that role. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, them taking bumps, yeah, they try to protect each other as much as possible,
Yeah.
but you can tell when it's a serious accident, it's a real accident versus something that they probably just portraying on TV for whatever reason.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And when my wife went to Raw, she was like, okay, she believed a little bit more that it's real than
Yeah.
fake. And I said, babe, it's both actually.
Yeah.
But you just got to know what's real and what's not real. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? These people actually do get hurt
Yeah.
for our entertainment. It's just like a boxer or MMA fighter. They actually get hurt for our entertainment. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Think about it. But at the end of the day, though, it's like when you go, you get a better appreciation for everything that goes on. Because what you don't
Yeah.
see on TV, you could see it like when they setting up the ring, when they go to commercial, and a lot of them wrestlers they start, whew, whew, man, that hurt. They try to regroup themselves or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because they on
Yeah.
commercial now. And then the referee got those. Now I know why the referee got those things in their ear, because people backstage are talking to the ref.
They directed traffic. Yeah.
Yeah, and telling the ref, hey, this is what's going on. So so a lot of times the ref might be like, but he actually saying, hey, you got 5 more minutes, something like that. But he just
Yeah.
making it look like he trying to gain order or something. You
Right.
learn a thing or two. You see what I'm saying? So it was one of those experiences to where you gain more. What's the word I'm looking for? You gain more. Dang, won't come to my head right now. But you gain a lot of. You just appreciate it a lot more. I'm gonna go ahead and put it like that. I can't
Yeah.
think of the word at the top of my head, but you appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, and I'll say, if I'm saying your name right, Oz Shaw. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Saying wrestling does hurt. I am training. Believe it or not, I wrestled a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I was a pro or nothing like that, but I wrestled for a
Yeah.
friend because he was trying to get a company going, and that stuff do hurt.
Yeah. And
It does hurt.
like you were talking about how easy it is to get hurt too, because if you remember when you took your first bumps, you hit your head a lot. And at first, and that is the worst feeling in the world when you wake up the next day after just hitting your head 5-6 times even on that mat. Oh my God, felt like you've been in a major car accident. And it's
Yeah,
like you learn real quick, like if you keep doing it, to tuck that chin. Like,
yeah.
because
Because
once you feel that a few times,
if you ever notice some of John Cena's first matches, he always kept his head, up like
yeah,
this so his head wouldn't hit the mat. You know what I'm saying? When he gets slammed down, he started doing that because I guess because they told him,
yeah,
keep your head up.
yeah,
Because once you hit that head, you get those concussions and you start getting a little loopy in the brain. You can't do this no more. You
yeah.
can't do it.
I'll tell you, the most appreciation I have for the art that is professional wrestling is when two guys can really, or two men or women, can literally go out there and really have had very little conversation at all and do a match and call it in the ring. And that's, I think, another thing that made Cody and Rollins good.
Yeah.
That was all called in the ring except for the finish. Like the finish, they had, I think, in the media scrum afterwards when Cody was talking, I think he said, several people had come to his trailer to talk, and I'm sure whatever agent was the, producer for the match had come in there and related, but him and Seth really, they had no conversations before that match, and they hadn't even really seen each other or worked together since like 2016 when he left. Like that's how long it had been since him and Seth Rollins had touched, seen each other or anything. So that whole match was called out there, and for it to stay that interesting, and they do, they did a good job of bringing it up when it needed to and laying it back down, bringing it, cooling it off a little bit, stuff like that. But just that to me is really impressive. And then when I hear people say stuff like, everybody says Steamboat and Savage WrestleMania 3 was the greatest match of all time or whatever, or at least the greatest WrestleMania match. And I disagreed mainly on the premise that Randy Savage was far from the greatest worker in professional wrestling. That dude could not call nothing in the ring. Like, he wanted to lay out every match, like the whole match before they went out there. And to me, that's missing. There's something missing with that. Now, Randy was a special character and everything. Like, dude was like, you can't even believe somebody talked like he did in real life. Like, like he was like a cartoon character the whole time through. But in the ring, like, he was fun. Like, when you see a match that was equally as good or better with Steamboat and Ric Flair, and they called everything out in the ring. To me, that's what's really impressive, when those guys go out there and really they just feel that crowd, you know, and know what to do with it. And that's really what makes you able to work on top as a main eventer. If you can feel out that crowd, and like look back at The Rock and Hollywood Hogan, when Hogan started hulking up and doing the babyface thing, because that crowd turned on The Rock and they was wanting their Hulk Hogan back, you know, like, but they felt that crowd out, and they gave the crowd what they wanted. They gave them, you know, hulking back up and, you know, trying to do the comeback and everything. They knew how to feel that crowd and do and kind of manipulate them to kind of follow exactly what they were doing. And I'm like, that to me is the magic right there. Whenever you can take that and you're so over like they were, especially talking about The Rock and Hogan being the two of the very biggest stars in the business at the time. And they could do that and then change the dynamic of the match. But then at the end, go back to what the finish is, which was The Rock winning like he did. But still, they took it in a whole different direction than it was supposed to go, just based off of how the crowd was feeling and how they were reacting and stuff. And I was like, Undertaker was good at that. Ric Flair, I mean, like, the really true greats are the ones that could follow that, just listen to the crowd that whole match and just follow it and give the people, you know, everything they want.
Yeah, and I be honest with you, I think, going back to what you said earlier, I think Kevin Owens did that with the Stone Cold thing.
Yes.
It was rumored that Stone Cold did not want to lose. I was thinking in my head, I don't know.
He was always going to win.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that was true, but whatever, you know. People gonna say what they say.
Kevin Owens, the human being, Kevin Steen or whatever, really caring about that, you know, like, because he probably got paid more in that match than he did in his entire career for a match before. So.
He knew, okay, Stone Cold is pushing 60 years old.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is, I don't know how it is. I'm gonna say someone in his early 30s. I'm just gonna guess on that. He knew that he got to carry Stone Cold. Stone Cold has not been in this ring a long time. Stone Cold did show some ring rust. Well, not some, but a lot. and of course, you know, he knew to make this look good, we need to take up a whole lot of TV time.
Yeah.
Let's start it off with a talk show first.
Yeah.
Let's start it off of us talking a little noise. I'm going to challenge you to a match. You're going to hesitate, give me a slow answer. You know, blase, blase. We're going to walk around. We're going to talk some, you know. Kevin Owens knew, just like what Seth Rollins did with Cody, he knew, I got to carry this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, Seth Rollins didn't really carry that match, but Seth, like you said, he knew how to play it.
Well, he was the heel too. The heel usually is the one calling and controlling the pace. The heel usually controls the pace. Now, it's a give and take, but the heel usually, and I think that's the reason Seth has stayed a heel as long as he has, just because he's good at directing traffic out there. Like, he knows what to do.
Kind of like I say with Roman Reigns, he's good at being the heel. But I'm just tired of seeing him with the belt, so it's time for somebody else.
Him and Brock too. Everybody's seen that so many times. They bled all they could get at.
I really thought Brock was going to win. I truly thought Brock was. But
he just going home for a little bit.
Okay.
Probably just going home for a little bit and then coming back like he always does.
Yeah. Brock knows how to play the system. Brock is a businessman. He knows how to play it. He knows he's a big deal. You're going to pay me like a big deal. He ain't stupid. You know. That's probably why I don't like him. I don't know. But that's something I want to talk to about, kind of switching gears a little bit. I want to switch this a little bit. We talked in messages before about what it is that picture, that screenshot I had sent you. Tell me what your opinion is. Before you do, let me get something to drink. I'm so dehydrated.
Okay.
I
I'm trying to
just
think
got
of
home from work.
what picture are we talking about?
That guy's opinion. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Oh,
All right, sorry about that. I just got from work. I am exhausted. I had said you get something to drink. I'm thirsty.
I'm drinking coffee to try to stay.
Ugh, I'm
I bet
exhausted. Ooh, I work like 13, 14, 15-hour days almost every day. I'm tired.
Oh God, yeah.
But what's your opinion on that?
What do you say again? I'm trying to remember.
Give me a second. Let me look at it. Give me a second. I'm looking at it right now. Looking it
Yeah,
up.
you good?
Dang it. I don't want to get the words misconstrued.
I know, and I'm trying to remember. Like,
But I know it's about the Brahma Bull belt.
oh, that dude. Yeah, yeah. God knows, like, like what a jerk. Like,
Oh no, go ahead. I want your opinion. That I'm gonna say.
I guess, like, I don't know. I mean, some people, like, I guess we do have like a whole group of people within the group of people that is in this hobby that their expectation is they want the belt to look as much identical to the one they see on TV as, I guess, as possible. And they want it for the price that they want, and they want it, and, I guess, I don't know. I guess that, and then you have people that like yourself that have shop zone belts, and then they have bootleg belts, and you like each one of them for what they are equally and whatnot. But like, then you have people like that are on these belt groups. They only buy WWE like shop belts, or like what they used to be like the Figures the Ink belts or whatever, like the officially licensed belts that have the copyright and the logo. If it ain't that, like, it's no good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people that are bootleg only, like no. If it, I don't want exposed screws on the back or whatever, or whatever it is. Like they got that side of it too. And I'm just like, I'm like you sitting over here like listening to this stuff, and he's like, oh, that's too far from the original and stuff like that. It was like, when did you see the original is my question. Like, because it never was on TV, and it's probably sitting in Dwayne Johnson's house on a man, somewhere, or in the WWE warehouse or wherever, whoever bought it or owns it or whatever. And it's sitting somewhere, because he never brought it to TV or used it. So how do you know the plate dimensions on it and the tooling that was done on the leather and all that stuff? Because as far as I know, it's all just pictures out there, and I'm guessing more than likely, the WWE shops version is probably nowhere near close to the real thing either.
Because The Rock did, when Rock and John Cena had that feud, he had that belt sitting on his mantle.
Yeah, okay.
This is way before they started with these signature series and legend series, whatever you want to call them.
He probably paid for that belt himself back in the day. So it's like
Austin, Stone Cold did.
That's what Stone Cold ordered his own belt from Reggie Parks or whatever and paid for it himself, and that Smoking Skull belt was proper. It was Steve Austin's property.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and even then, everybody's like, oh, it's not as gold as that. Like on that one, it's like, how do you know? Like, if it's probably sitting at Steve's house again above his fireplace or something like that, with his other belts that he has, because Steve Austin has the NWA TV title belt he had in WCW. He's got that one. He's got the Intercontinental belt that they thought he threw up in the water. He's got that one. He's got some of the belts that he held throughout his career. And people are like on there really like going at it in some of these groups. And this is why I don't ever last in any of these, like a lot of these belt groups, is these people are petty on there and really going at it about whose belt is the closest thing to reality and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, if this guy over here paid $300 for this belt and you paid $500, the only reason you are probably convinced that yours is more closer to the real thing is because of how much you paid for it. Like, you probably be real mad if you found out that the one he paid $300 for is closer, identical to the real thing than yours, when in reality, neither one is probably, anywhere close to exactly identical to the belt that they had on there. I mean, and in my experience, I've been backstage at WWE events where I've seen the belts they were using, and that's I didn't realize for a while until I was at the WWE live events that were in my area back in like 2015, that were spending so much money on belts now that every year they were putting new belts on TV, and then the belts they used on TV the last year were the ones they were using at the live events. And I remember I saw the New Days back when they still had the penny tag team titles, the ones all black leather with the copper plate. The ones they were using at the live event, the leather was worn, the paint was worn off some of the leather. You could see the brown underneath the black strap and stuff like that. Them things was looking wore out compared to like the ones on TV look like. And then you see like the ones on TV are brought in the truck. The wrestlers have the live event ones in their bag. And so the ones they use on TV are brought in the production truck, and they're kept in like a case and stuff like that. So the wrestlers can't mess them up. And they got the pretty belts for TV. And I was like, dang, WWE knows what they're doing. Like they're not going to let somebody like some of the companies, even New Japan, they kept having that IWGP Intercontinental belt on a white strap, but a white strap can start looking dirty and nasty real fast if it's not well taken care of. So when WWE was still using that white strap Intercontinental, it still looked white on TV, but at the live events, again, like the strap was looking murky and beat up, because they didn't care. They knew at the live event, you were just happy to see the darn thing and see the wrestlers and stuff like that. And, but yeah, like I couldn't believe New Japan, as much money as they do make and everything off their product in Japan, they're having these people come out here with these rundown looking belts and stuff. And when Kenny Omega had won the heavyweight belt, the grommets was falling off the leather, like that belt was falling apart. And it wasn't until he had lost I can remember Jay White had it and took it to when he lost with Jay White with the New Japan had that supercard or show at G1 Supercard show at Madison Square Garden. Then they finally debuted a new belt because they were in America and in New York City. And then it would have some trash looking belt out there when they're trying to win over the American audience and stuff so they finally got a new belt and debuted it. I was like, like WWE knows like it's going to make them look low budget and look stupid if they have these trashy looking, wore out looking belts coming out there on TV. But it's detail. WWE does that right. They have the details down to a science. Like that's one thing they're not going to do. Like, you're coming out there on TV. The wrestlers have the newest gear on. The gear doesn't look. There's no holes in it. There's no. It doesn't look worn down. But again, you see them at the live events. It's the tights they were wearing on TV like 3 months ago. Started to get holes in them and stuff like that. Yeah. They play. They know what they're doing and stuff. And I was thinking about something else too, like how when you debut a superstar, how much difference it makes when you have them in there with an opponent that can build them. Because AEW brought in CM Punk last year, the biggest star pretty much that wasn't in the ring right at the moment that they thought a possibility. 7 years he hadn't wrestled. They get him to sign and come in, and then they put him in the ring against nobodies. And they wonder why all his momentum is dead. Because they waited, almost a year, and now he's talking about, I want to be the world champion again. You've been out here wrestling nobodies on TV, and I mean, like, WWF used to do those squash matches on TV back in the day, but they went away from it for a reason because this stuff's boring, man. Like, nobody wants to see, like when Omos was going out there squashing people, I get it. He's the big guy. They did it with Braun Strowman. They did it with all these big monsters they want to try to get over. But God knows, man, like nobody wants to see CM Punk beat jobbers every week. And that's why like his crowd noise when he comes out has gone down, 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 down. Same thing with Bryan Danielson because they got him and he's red hot off WWE TV, was wrestling for the WWE title at WrestleMania last year. They bring him in and then he's wrestling who? Like, like nobody wants to see that. They want to see the big matches. They want, and that's like, again, bringing Cody in against Seth Rollins was a good call because if you're going to have him beat somebody, if he had to went out there and wrestled, Elias in his previous gimmick, and they just brought Elias back for that to get beat up by Cody. It's like, why do I care? Like, like he was getting beat before he left TV. Now you brought him back out here, and he's, or anybody else that's kind of bottom of the card there, like Ricochet coming out of nowhere like one week, and you hadn't even seen him on TV for 6 months, and then he wins the Intercontinental belt. Like, why do I even care? Like, like you can't just bring a guy out and have him wrestle Powerhouse Hobbs, because if you're trying to attract people from like the WWE audience to watch AEW, that ain't going to do it. Like, they don't want to see them wrestle. I mean, at least I think you want to feel like, even if you're not too familiar with that person, you want to know that this is somebody in the company though. And like somebody that has some momentum and, has done something and beaten some people. And even when he got in there with MJF, it's like, all right, I get it. You're trying to build this kid up and make him a bigger star, but everybody's done that. Cody Rhodes did it, over there. They tried to build him up, and he's not really getting there. Like he's not reaching. He's not getting any higher up, like on the card. How they're trying to build him up. They try to put everything into him, but again, CM Punk, first match is against Darby Allin on pay-per-view, and it's like to the average fan, it's like, who? Like, I don't know who this kid is. And then you get him out there, and CM Punk looks like a muscle monster compared to him. Like, like CM Punk's skinny fat, and he looked big compared to Darby Allin, because they were like, Darby Allin's the new Sting. I was like, he's like 5'7", 150 pounds. He's not the new nothing. Like, he don't even look like a grown man. And this is what Jim Cornette says, but he's right. Yeah. Like, I don't want to see these little bitty nobodies out there. At least have somebody out there to look like a grown man. Like, like Darby Allin coming out there on a skateboard with half his face painted, looking like he'd never seen a weight room in his life. That's not throwing anything, man. Like
I say that too with these with a lot of these squash matches. I get it with Omos. Yeah. And like you said, but Omos was fighting some, I guess you could say, some top mid-level guys. Excuse me. So somebody but you kind of, cool, good, yeah, man. Not, but I don't like those squash matches.
Yeah.
That's for NXT. That's for 205. That, you know what I'm saying? That's for back there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you come to the big leagues, it's all about being here, not here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's no, not so the reason for Cody, I think, was the fact that WWE knew he was big in AEW.
Yeah.
They knew that. They knew he gained some popularity there. So they said, we're gonna feed off of this.
Yeah.
And I think his promo after WrestleMania on Raw, when he said he's gonna start doing it for his dad, that I think put him from here to even up here.
Everybody loved Dusty Rhodes now.
Yeah, I love Dusty Rhodes, the son of a plumber, preacher man, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's just the Southern. I mean, he was basically the Southern Hulk Hogan. Like,
he was.
He was that over, like he was. I mean, Dusty. It was hard to hate Dusty. It didn't matter who Dusty was in the ring with. Like, you just want to see Dusty do his thing and do the greatest hits. If he, and Cody throwing in those jabs in the bionic elbow at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
Smart. Like, if he hadn't done that, but you're in Dallas, Texas, where Dusty was running roughshod over, I mean, everybody know Dusty Rhodes down there. So it's like you had to throw that in a little bit there and do a little Dusty for him. I mean, he's bleaching the hair. Come on. He's playing to Dusty a little bit there. But, but Cody did right. Cody, you could tell, like, a lot of people blamed Cody for a lot of the stuff that was going stale in AEW with him. But come to find out, he wasn't booking any of that. Like, they were saying, well, he's an executive vice president. He's booking all his own stuff. No, Tony Khan books everything in AEW. So he got to the point where his vision of Cody was going to be the gatekeeper. Like, every star they brought in, the first program was going to be with Cody Rhodes. And Cody was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be at the same thing when they got, what's his name? Alistair Black over there or whatever they call him now. I guess it's Malachi Black. They brought him over there. And the first person he wrestled, Cody Rhodes, and he was starting to be like he was the John Cena of AEW essentially, because he had half the crowd booing him and half of it cheering him and stuff like that. And they were still reacting. You could tell they still they wanted Cody, but they didn't want Cody like that. They were getting tired of what he was doing out there. And now he's at least in a position where he could say, well, I didn't want to do that stuff. Like, I didn't want to be the gatekeeper in every star they hire in. But they've gotten like Eric Bischoff to where, he was hiring up. Everybody was getting released from WWE. Eric Bischoff was hiring. The biggest difference is Eric Bischoff was hiring superstars like Kurt Hennig and Randy Savage and big name superstars that were proven world champions, the world over, and it were main eventers. And Tony Khan is hiring Keith Lee, who Keith Lee is a big, nice looking guy and everything, but he didn't get over in WWE. There's a reason they let him go, and they didn't see a future for him. Like, he just didn't, something was missing. He didn't connect with people on TV, and they tried to change his gimmick up and see if they could make him a little more likable or whatever. But, he's, and I said, to me, like, I guess to fans that have followed his career, they really like Keith Lee, that group of like indie fans that knows him. But to me, when I first see him, I see this big fat guy who smiles a lot, and that's kind of it. Like, and he tries to flip and stuff. And I was like, but you can only see a big 300-pound guy do flips for so long. Like, at least Vader, like, being as big as he was, Vader knew when to do that stuff. Like, he would just be a big guy and just pound away and put the heat on somebody. And then when he needed to bust out a moonsault or something like that, he did it. But he didn't do it every match, and he didn't just do dives out through the ropes just because he could. Like now, I get it.
I'm one of those who like the Keith Lee, but I do agree with you. As a big guy, you got to know this is not going to last for him. Too. Yeah,
he can know how to work.
But you got to know, as a big guy, I can't do these certain moves. And if I keep doing it, people are going to want this from me.
Yeah.
And I know as I get older and, my body starts breaking down, I can't do all this stuff no more. So you got to plan ahead.
Right.
So, like you said, Vader, once in a while. Yeah, you could probably do that once in a while. Then when you stop doing it, fans are not going to really miss it because you only did it once or twice a year, you know what I'm saying?
But it's going to get a big reaction when you do bust it out. Like when you break out, you got to break out the big guns when they count. Like when Brock Lesnar attempted to do that shooting star press against Kurt Angle, which ended up being bad, but that was supposed to be the finish of the match because Brock really had never done that on TV. He did it down in OVW. So the main roster fans really never seen Brock do nothing like that, but he could. Brock could have done dives out to the floor and all that stuff, but he didn't because that's not good psychology. Like when Brock was hot because Brock knew how to work like a big man and use his power and stuff like that. And that's what people bought more into the character. And they knew this guy was real athletic and stuff like that. But, just because you can do it does not mean you should do it all the time because when you see everybody on the card doing super kicks, doing dives to the floor, it's not special anymore. Back in the day when Shawn Michaels was, there doing the super kick, nobody else did the super kick because if everybody did the super kick in every match, nobody wanted to see Shawn do it anymore. Like, it's just kind of like, well, everybody else does it and it's a false finish in the match. It's not the end, but that was Shawn's finisher. So it's like when he hits the super kick, it's done. Like, it's a wrap. So you can't just, that's not there. And it's the same thing. If I watched Ricochet wrestle, and the next match is Keith Lee, I don't need to see Keith Lee trying to do what 175-pound Ricochet just did because it makes sense for Ricochet to do it. His name is Ricochet. Like, that's what you're buying with him. That's what you're getting with him. That's his thing, is to be the high flyer and doing, being a highlight reel guy. But then you get this 300-pound guy who probably should be like getting the heat on guys and learning how to and working like that big monster, but he just doesn't do it. And then when he did work differently, you could tell he just didn't care about doing it. Like, he wasn't. If some of these guys get to the point where if they're not doing what they think they should do, then they're not into it, and it shows. Like, you gotta embrace the stupid stuff sometimes because you know, you look at even Steve Austin when he first got to the WWF and he got put with that stupid gimmick with Ted DiBiase and he was the ringmaster. He still gave it his best effort. Like he was in it. He was trying to sell it, and he tried to get into the character and do it until they started seeing that what he wanted to do would work better, And then him and Vince, with those genius minds, grew that Austin character, that Stone Cold character, to what it became. Without Vince and Steve Austin, that would have never happened. Those two minds combined there, and then Vince being the ultimate opponent for him, even though Vince wasn't a real wrestler, but like they felt it, and the more I think Vince listened to Steve and saw what Steve could do, he was like, oh, I get it now. And
the thing with those two, like you just said, Vince wasn't really a wrestler, but he knew, okay, let me see what he has to say. I will give Vince credit for this. I will give Vince some credit. Vince will, a lot of people have said this, Vince will put his personal ego to the side to make money.
Hell yeah.
Now, by me saying it like that, you got to look at it like this. He knows what's best for business.
Yeah.
Now, to me, there's only two storylines, only two that lasted a very, very long time that you still enjoyed. One, Stone Cold versus Vince.
Yeah.
Two, Undertaker versus Kane.
Yeah. Yeah,
Those
you can still see that to this.
You will never see nothing like that ever again.
Yeah.
Now, I want to back it up a little bit. I want to talk about, what I brought up about that.
Oh, yeah. We kind of got off.
Now, I'm okay with it. Like I told him, he said that really that belt ain't even close, blah, blah, blah. I told him, I said, your opinion is welcome, but be realistic.
Yeah.
You're buying bootleg. And he even talked about it. I'm not going to mention the guy's name unless you want me to, but I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
He said he put up a picture that he going of the Brahma Bull belt. He say not even close, not by a little bit. And I replied back, I'm like, really, man? Really? He going to say, do you think it looks good? And $360 for a bootleg that's not better than an authentic version? I said, that's your opinion, but you just said it. Bootleg. Yeah. He didn't reply back after that.
Yeah.
The thing is this. I only got two replica belts. One, I wanted to buy one just to, see what it really felt like, a replica feel like. And the other one, my wife bought me for my anniversary gift.
Yeah.
Other than that, I wouldn't have no bootlegs. Why? Because I want my own style. I want my own this and that. And then they are cheaper. And I know, like that old saying goes, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And if you want the real thing, like I watch a lot of people on YouTube, they want the leather to be floppy like they see on TV. They want it to be Velcro. They want the diamonds to be shining, all that stuff. I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just call Reggie Parks, Jay Milliken, John Milliken, whatever his name is, Johnny Marshall, all of them? Why don't you call them up and spend like $2 or $3 grand on a belt? Probably even more.
Yeah. More than that now, yeah.
Yeah. I know Reggie Parks, I think that's the one who just passed away, but I think that was him. It was Reggie Parks?
Yeah, Dave Milliken's his student, though. That's the guy that learned under him that's doing the Reggie style belts now. Like, he's still... he's still high up in it. Like, but he was the one. He was kind of the next Reggie Parks, kind of the guy that took over for him. But like you said, the Marshall guy, J-Mar, or whatever the name of that company was, like that guy made him for WWE for a long time. He made the Big Eagle and the Oval IC and stuff like that. And that's who. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, who he got that when he brought back the classic Intercontinental, but it was weird looking and had that weird texturing in it. He got that from Jay Marshall. He bought that belt and ordered it himself to use. And then WWE contacted Dave Milliken and got him to make more like the classic Reggie Parks Intercontinental, and that's the one they used going forward. But at first when he debuted it, you could tell it was the classic IC, but it looked different. Like it was like, where do you get this thing? That's the one Cody got himself.
Yeah, he had that nugget texture. Yeah. But my whole thing is this. It's like when people start complaining about bootlegs, it's like, you gotta understand that's what it is.
Yeah.
Bootleg. You know what I'm saying? You getting, and even these replicas that's from the WWE shop, they're not even what it is that's on TV. They're a little bit
Nowhere even
smaller.
close. Yeah.
Yes. The leather is stiff, the diamonds are not right, all that stuff. Some of the
Yeah.
wording is wrong, all that stuff. They're not even close.
Yeah.
So, do the math. So I would rather spend 300, you know what I'm saying, instead of
Yeah.
spending 5, 6, 700 from the WWE shop.
Right. Yeah. Depending, like, yeah, it's unbelievable. Like I remember, speaking of how much those belts cost, I mean, the closest foreign maker you can get to an American belt maker is Classic Shields. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. But that's $2,000, $2,500, like 6 months to a year wait on a belt, and they are going to use, real stones, like, the highest quality, like they get American leather and all that stuff like that. But it's, that's the thing. It's like you got Antonio Mendoza doing American leather on belts now. So if your expectation is to have American quality leather, then buy your plates and send it to him to do it. But you're going to pay, you're going to pay this 200 for the plates, or 150, 200 or whatever for the plates. Then you're going to have them shipped to him. Then he's going to have to charge you $250 for the leather alone. It's like, if you're paying $300 for the total belt, and your expectation is to have leather on par with Dave Milliken, you crazy. Like, you're not going to get it. They're able to give us this product at this price for a reason, and you just have to decide for yourself, like, is it good enough for what my expectations are? But if your expectations is identical to TV, then don't order bootlegs at all. Like, that's like, why are you on here complaining about it? Just don't order it. But somebody else, like you said, might have seen that belt and then thought, wow, like, that's amazing. Like, I don't even care if it's identical. I just love it for what it looks like, and everything.
I love it for what it's supposed to represent.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, okay, like that new belt I got, there ain't no TV accuracy whatsoever. I don't care.
Right.
I got something that I know I like. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, even the shop belts are not even close to TV.
Yeah, they're not.
But you get it for what it is supposed to represent.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? My very first belt I ever bought, I bought it off of eBay. It was the Big Eagle, and it was super thin plates. It was brass. It sucked. I'm not gonna lie. But did I say that it sucked? No. I say positive. You see what I'm saying? I say positive about it. I like it, blah, blah, blah. Now, guess what? I ended up giving that belt away to somebody who did not have a belt, and they just messaged me a few days ago telling me again, man, I know this message is out of nowhere, but I want to thank you. I love this. I finally got something that I want, to represent while me watching wrestling, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's this one guy on YouTube. He collects all these wrestling belts. I want to say he got like 45 some odd belts.
Yeah.
And I want to say like 5 of them did not come from the WWE shop. And he even says it, yeah, I know this is not accurate with what it used to be, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I say when you want a bootleg, you have to understand it is not going to be nowhere near, but good enough so you know what it's supposed to represent.
Right.
Like I said, even the WWE shop belts are not even close.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like the Undisputed. Why do you think they had to make a version 2 of the Undisputed? And that's still not even close.
Yeah.
Why do you think they made so many big golds? And those are still not even close.
No.
See what I'm saying?
I mean, there's no way to get it that close either, because, well, actually, WWE now, they do now have the original Crumrine Big Gold. WWE has it. They finally got it. But here's the strangest thing. For a long time, Dave Milliken had the one he thought was the original one, and it wasn't the original one. Like, it wasn't even the original one. WWE, you know, they got that show where they hunt down old memorabilia, and they found the Ric Flair, that black robe he wore to the Royal Rumble in '92 when he won the title. And there's some collector often somewhere else has had that thing sitting in their office for 15 years. I couldn't even imagine trying to hunt down something like that, but the WWE has got their people on it. Like, they, you know, it's funny too. We were talking about it. People think that AEW is like real competition for the WWE. They're no more competition for the WWE than NFL. You know, like everything on TV is competition for WWE. Everything in the media is, but for them, like they're on the bottom. I mean, they just made record profits. So people, the people that are internet, you know, trolls that is criticizing them, you can criticize them all you want, but the proof's in the pudding. They're making the most money they've ever made, ever. And that's even considering inflation and stuff. They just made billions of dollars last year.
Yep.
They're doing something right. And AEW hasn't made a red penny yet. Like, they're hemorrhaging money because, you know, old Tony Khan's got too much money handed to him and doesn't know what to do with it. So he just to think that, you know, WWE essentially bought what they did with WCW. They didn't buy all of WCW. They just bought the tape library, the trademarks in the name, and the contracts out of the wrestlers that they wanted at the time. The original ones that weren't under, you know, like multi-million-dollar deals. Like, I don't remember who all was under DDP and all them at first, and then they brought them in later once their contracts expired. But those guys they weren't going to sign with WWE because they were sitting at home, you know, riding out the rest of their WCW contracts getting paid. But WWE only spent, you know, several million getting WCW, the what of WCW they wanted. And then Tony Khan just spent $44 million on Ring of Honor, who is, you know, love Ring of Honor, but it's not WCW. It's not, you know, it wasn't the WWE's, you know, main rival for 10 years or whatever, like WC, or more than that if you count the Jim Crockett promotion days in the 80s, where, you know, the only other company besides WWE that was going national was the NWA Jim Crockett, which became WCW. That was the only other company that was trying to do the same thing they were. Everybody else was like, oh, you know, it's wrong that you're doing this to us or whatever. But WCW was smart. They were trying to be in the game, stay in the game too. But we're talking, he spent, you know, even counting inflation, he spent 3 or 4 times what WWE paid for WCW on Ring of Honor. Like,
and that's one thing. That's another thing I saw on YouTube too. When AEW first started getting some notoriety, oh, WWE better watch out, Vince better watch out, AEW. I was like, no, the hell you didn't.
Yeah.
I said, do y'all know what y'all talking about? I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, Vince bought WCW and ECW.
Yeah.
Now, WCW was hot. I mean, red hot. It's just that Eric Bischoff didn't manage the money and the booking right and all that good stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
I know it's more to it than that, but still, he managed certain things right, so he ended up closing shop. But WCW was hot.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest stars, at that time, the biggest star in the world, Hulk Hogan, went there. Yeah. And Vince still did not crumble.
No.
Under the pressure. And you think that AEW is going to come out and take WWE? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
WWE is a global company.
Yeah.
It's global. The only way people know about AEW is because of like social media, YouTube, all that, Instagram, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way. Other than that, everybody knows WWF/E.
Yeah.
So there is no way on earth that AEW at this point in time, and put it like that, right now, it is anywhere capable or near competing with the WWE. Nowhere near.
And they lost their key player in Cody Rhodes. They just let him walk away. They let that man walk away. And the thing is, when they're talking about, I've listened to Cody talk about, he would never come out and say, like, he said it was a personal issue that him and Tony Khan had that they could not get past. And then he said that, you know, he had a vision for AEW and what he thought it should be. And then Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks have their vision. But if I'm Tony Khan, if I'm the guy putting the money into this, you know, and I'm listening to somebody like he's listened to Chris Jericho on stuff, and that's a guy I would listen to because he's been there and done that, and he's a legend. And, you know, if Chris Jericho gives you a piece of advice, it probably means something. It's probably smart. But, you know, and the same thing for Cody Rhodes, like where Cody came from, having 10 years in the WWE before, you know, that's why when he, you know, came out of WWE and reinvented himself, he was very careful about what he did from then on because he knew Cody sacrificed a lot for WWE his first time around. And he was like, now that I'm on the indies, people knock him because he would tell independent promoters, I'll work for you for this amount of money, but I'm not losing. And they'd be like, oh, he's a mark for saying he wouldn't lose. No, he had a strategy, and that strategy led him back to where he is now, to how he's viewed by fans as a superstar, like a major superstar. If he had gone out there in front of these crowds and just started losing to every local boy from all these little independent promotions, it wouldn't have happened. Like, and, you know, when he went to Ring of Honor and he was the world champion there, Ring of Honor did its best business ever because Cody was learning how to be a top guy, like how to be a world champion and make money on top like that and draw crowds. Then when they got rid of him, you know, when he left Ring of Honor, they kind of lost, you know, and the other guys too at the Bullet Club, they lost a lot of their momentum, and that's the reason Ring of Honor is in the shape it is now. But, you know, you could tell, like, Cody still has a kind of an old school approach to wrestling, the way he works and stuff. And it means something because, like, when him and Dustin, whenever AEW first started up and him and Dustin had that brother versus brother match, they tore the house down, like, because look who it is. I mean, it's Dustin Rhodes too. Like, you know, he could go. Like, there's no doubt there. But, like, they were able to work a very kind of old school match and tear the house down. But then you got the Young Bucks out there doing this silly stuff. And, you know, like, that's a whole other vision. And Kenny Omega, who, you know, Kenny got a lot of credit for the success New Japan was having from American fans, except he wasn't really the guy. It was Okada. That was really the one that made the matches, those big matches that Dave Meltzer was given 6 stars to or whatever. It was because of Okada, and it was because it's in Japan. Like, the Japanese fans like where they're wrestling a little bit, you know, they like their wrestling like the Mexican fans, like they like their stuff a little bit different, you know. And that's why WWE has tried to have stars. Like they would keep Rey Mysterio to the day he died, just because Rey is always going to draw that Latino fan base in. He is always going to be a huge draw. And they've tried what they tried with Kalisto, Sin Cara to replace Rey Mysterio. And it's like you ordered Rey Mysterio on Wish. You know, it never
the
works.
only two people that the luchador or the Mexican wrestling fans, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio.
Eddie.
That's why they still pay tribute to Eddie to this day.
Yeah.
And Eddie been gone since what, 2005?
Like the gear they wore out there, the Mysterios did, was the American flag gear was a tribute to Gringos Locos, that tag team Eddie Guerrero was in with Art Barr in Mexico. Yeah. So it's like, they're still the fans, and some fans still knew what that was, especially in Texas, where they knew the Guerreros, and they, you know, like they knew the whole family and stuff. They came up watching them, and
that's another reason why when WrestleMania is going to be in Dallas, or maybe sometimes in my hometown of Houston, you know, they know they taking advantage of that. That's why Vince is smart. That's Texas. That's why they had Stone Cold. That's why they had JBL and Booker T talking noise to Kevin Owens. That's why they had Shawn Michaels talking noise to Kevin Owens. Even the Undertaker was talking noise to Kevin Owens, because we all know Undertaker's from Houston. Yeah. So that they knew how to, like you said, with Eddie Guerrero being from El Paso, Texas, you know, they knew how to build that up. That's why I say you learn a lot. You gain more appreciation when you actually sit down, you pay attention, you look, you see, they know what they're doing. That's why I say there's no way on earth AEW can compete with the WWE. Now, it's not saying that they don't have no talent. No. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is the company itself cannot compete with the WWE.
No. And it won't, because it's just clear to me every time I really have tried to watch AEW, but I can't get into it. And a lot of people are like, well, you don't really watch WWE. You think AEW be perfect because they act like AEW is just doing this whole different thing. But to me, they're trying too much to be like WWE, but doing it wrong, but doing it dead wrong. And not, to me, WWE's turning a corner and getting better. Like they're starting to understand they're going a direction. They brought Cody in and they're putting him on top, and they're, they're building back up their main event scene in a good way. They got Lashley turning babyface. I think that's a good call. I think he's going to be red hot. And this is the time you want to do it with Lashley. He's like 45 years old. If you're going to get another year out of him on top, now's the time to do it, because his body is not going to keep doing that forever. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's eventually he's going to, you look at MVP now. MVP comes out for that occasional match, but, he's 50 years old too. Like he can only do so much, and he can't be bumping every night. Like that's, even when they bring in Goldberg and people like that, Goldberg he just doesn't need to be out there for a long time. Like, he's got to do Goldberg. The best thing they can do with Goldberg now, if they bring him in, is literally have him squash people, because people will still pay to watch Goldberg just destroy somebody. But, like when they did that SummerSlam with him and Dolph Ziggler, I was like, it could be, but that's what got Goldberg over in the first place, was just mowing through people. But you can't do that with everybody either.
Yeah. I can see your point. Yeah, I can see your point on that. Yeah.
But there again, if I'm gonna bring Goldberg to Saudi Arabia and pay him $1 million for one match, I do want him to be in there with somebody else that people care about. And I feel like eventually that's what they're going to go to Brock with, is just having him be more of an exhibition guy they bring in for the biggest events and stuff like that. I don't think Brock needs the title anymore. I don't think it really does anything for Brock Lesnar at this point. I think he's like the Undertaker in a sense, where after a while, Taker didn't need the belt. Like, it did nothing for him to be champion anymore, because, remember, anytime you put a belt on a guy, you got to eventually beat him for it. So it's like, so eventually after a while, nobody want to see the Undertaker lose the title anymore. It's like, so, these guys like Shawn Michaels, after he stopped winning the title, it's kind of like, you don't really need it. Everybody's still going to watch Shawn. Shawn could lose it. Undertaker's the same way. He could lose 1,000 times. Everybody's still going to be excited to see the Undertaker. Like, it's just, he's made at this point. Like, there's no stopping him. He's an icon at this point. And I would say the same thing even for like Sting, like when his return, everybody criticized because they let Triple H beat Sting. And I was like, Sting probably didn't care. Because he was getting on WrestleMania. He had never done that. He was getting paid probably more money than he ever got paid in his whole career. And then, and at the end of the day, like, Sting was over to the point where nobody cared if he won or lose. They'd still gonna watch him because he was an icon. Like, they just wanted to see him do his entrance, see him in his character and everything, and that was good enough.
That's kind of like with Stone Cold,
Yeah.
Whether he won or lost, and then, like I said, the home state of Texas, you wanted to see Stone Cold just hit that glass break and that music. Yeah. That's all you wanted. And then throughout the match, you seen him drinking beers, drinking, like they say, drinking on the job.
Yeah.
All that stuff. That's what you paid to see with Stone Cold. Yeah. You paid to see him give the fingers, talk some noise, open up a can of whoop ass, drink some beers. Yeah. What he want to lose, that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even if Kevin Owens would have won still, who cares?
Right.
That's what you wanted to see with Stone Cold. With The Undertaker, you wanted to hear that dong. You wanted to see all that smoke, the slow walk to the ring, the rolling the eyes in the back of your head, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's certain things you want to see with certain people, and you don't care. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just like you said with Brock Lesnar. You just want to see him come out there, flex, do all this, macho stuff, whatever. Because that's what
F5s and
because now in his career, like you said, who cares?
Yeah,
it's certain
he's got nothing else to accomplish.
Yeah, it's certain people who cares. others maybe, but with certain ones, who cares? And I agree with that. But I also think that when I want to see what happens on this Friday night SmackDown, because it was rumored that Roman Reigns is going to relinquish the titles because of his injuries. I want to know if that's really true. I don't know if that's true or not. I kind of believe that rumor, kind of. But
Yeah.
I just want to see what happened because that looked at, whoo, that looked at
Yeah.
bad. That looked at bad. So I think he's going to relinquish it, and I think the Usos are finally going to lose the tag team titles as well. And I think the bloodline is going to start disintegrating finally.
Yeah. Either that, or I would say if they booked, the only other way to do it is to have, you remember, they do those like triple threats where the champ doesn't really have to be pinned to lose a title. They
Yeah.
could always do something like that and have it like a triple threat main event where he doesn't have to get pinned and he's able to drop the belts that way or something. But yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on if he's really injured or if it just will be like take a few weeks off and he'll be fine type of thing, like where he just needs to heal up after being banged up from running so hard and everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, for a while there,
it depends.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like they're talking about, oh, his next opponent is Drew McIntyre, and I'm like, I don't know if people want to see that now. Like, I don't know that Drew. I don't think Drew's really that hot. Like, or you know, I don't think he's. I think at one time they were talking about putting Seth back in there with him again, and they were like Seth, because that was one thing when they first started talking about Cody and Seth. The rumors they were like, oh, Seth can't afford to lose. I was like, he was losing on Raw this week. Like, they're going somewhere with the story. Eventually, Seth's not going to lose anymore, and he's going to start winning again. But it's got to, I think right now, both him and Roman are heels, and that's not really, you know, we saw that match where, what is it, earlier this year, or where they tried, or was it the Royal Rumble or whatever, they had a match for the Universal title.
I think it was Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and then, you know, Seth did the Shield entrance and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but eventually, like, the fans hate both these guys. Like, they don't want to see that match. Like, they need somebody they can cheer in that with Roman. Or with Seth, and I'm like, yeah, like I get it, the stupid Shield thing, and I don't know. There's rumors too that John Moxley may not re-sign and that he might return to WWE too, but re-sign with AEW. But I don't know. He's a weird person because to me, if I was a millionaire like that, I wouldn't be wrestling in no little buildings like he does. Like he's wrestling these hardcore matches in front of 500 people, and I'm like, really? You made millions of dollars in your career and you were a main eventer in the WWE and in AEW and you're out here wrestling for Game Changer Wrestling in front of 500 people? I'd be preserving my body. I wouldn't be out there. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to see Bryan Danielson and CM Punk wrestling in little bitty buildings, you know, in front of nobody like that. They're happy to be getting paid millions to wrestle once or twice a week for AEW. You know what I mean? They're preserving their bodies for the big important stuff and the ones that's making them the money. They ain't gonna be wrestling in no little independent show for.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about too, because I was telling my wife this because she was watching this documentary with me, that a lot of these wrestlers get divorced at least on a minimum 3 times.
Yeah.
3, and it's not because of, well, some of them is, but it's not really because of infidelity or anything like that. It's because they are gone,
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, I said, yeah, the top stars, they on the road at least 300 days out the year, sometimes more.
Well, not so much anymore, and that's going back to what you're saying with the 2 champions. That's part of it is preserving these guys. The brand split. That's one of the major reasons for the brand split too, is so they're not on the road that much, at least doing matches that much as they used to back when like Hogan was champion and stuff. Or Bret Hart even, and Shawn Michaels, like those guys back then, they only had 1 champion and they were running hard, you know, hard in the paint 300 days a year. But now I think one of the ideas of having brand exclusive stuff too, not just the TV, but also so these guys ain't, you know, working so many matches either, and they can have a little better work-life balance.
Yeah, and that's why I was telling my wife though. I was saying they get paid money. They get paid a lot of money to do this stuff. Now, I'm not trying to say they get paid more than movie stars. I don't know. They maybe I don't know, but I know they get paid some good money to do this stuff, and that's the reason why a lot of them get so. That's, for example, I watched that documentary on Stone Cold. He got divorced 2 times. He on his 3rd marriage. And I think this one is more successful because he's not on the road as much.
Right. He does whatever he wants now. He's enjoying life.
Yeah. That's why his daughters moved to was that England, I think it was, or whatever country that was they moved to. Because he was like, he hates it, but he said he's never home. So what can
Yeah,
he
that's where
do?
his ex-wife was from. She was she was gentleman Chris Adams from World Class. That was his wife and
Oh, okay.
valet. And
Okay.
then she fell in love with Austin because she was hit Lady Blossom. I can't remember what her real name was, but she used to accompany Chris Adams in World Class. And then when he went to WCW, she was already in a relationship with him, and she was his valet there for a little while until Austin joined up with Paul Heyman and Medusa in the Dangerous Alliance with Rick Rude and them. And then he started having Paul Lee with him at ringside and Medusa. So for a while, she was his valet. Jeannie Clark, that was her name.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in World Class and married to Chris Adams. But Chris Adams was, he was a huge Texas legend to be a British guy, but like he was an abusive husband too, and was beating her and stuff like that. So like, I think Steve was I think Steve kind of like stood up to him and was like, "It's done." And Steve was twice Chris Adams' size too.
Yeah.
So.
And then you had he was married to Deborah.
Yeah.
And now he's on he's on his third marriage.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Undertaker. He was married 3 times, and now he's with Michelle McCool. Why?
Yeah.
Because I think also too, a lot of these wrestlers, with their marriages, people don't understand. It's best to get with someone in the business so they understand.
You're with them all the time too.
But, yeah. Whether
Yeah.
you're in the same company or not, at least they understand versus someone who is not. Now, you say that to me, let's just say my wife was a wrestler. Yeah, I probably feel that way too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want my wife home, and when she comes home, I want her all beat up and tired.
Yeah.
So I get it. Don't get me wrong, but that's why a lot of I'm watching a documentary, and Stone Cold was basically saying, yeah, you're on the road at least 300 days out the year, barring any kind of injury, serious injury.
Yeah.
You're on the road. You're gone all the time. Even the top mid-level stars, like maybe even the Miz right now,
Yeah.
or even Rey Mysterio right now, they on the road at least 200 to 250 days out the year.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And only 365 days out the year. So come on. So that, and a lot of them explain, like even the Dudley boys, Bubba Ray, he even explained that you're going to miss a lot in your kid's life. You're going to miss it. So when Finn Balor came out and said that he hates that his nieces and nephews don't really know his real name,
right?
He was like, "Why am I doing this?" It's like, dude, you know what it's like. That's all these wrestlers talk about, man.
Yeah.
That's all they talk about. The number one thing they always say 2 things. They have these sayings. 1, this is not ballet, which means you finna get your ass whooped in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
2, be prepared to get remarried. That's what they always say.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to understand that's their lifestyle.
Yeah.
It sucks. I mean, I when I watched it, I really got into it and I paid attention. I'm like, damn. I ain't gonna lie, I could not be without my wife for that damn long. I mean,
Yeah.
I can take care of myself. Don't get me wrong. I know how to cook and clean myself, but it's just the fact that no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No. That's why a lot of them, like a lot of people didn't know Bianca Belair and Montez Ford, they are married. A lot of people didn't know that. We all know Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch is married. A lot of people didn't know that. And what's her name? Ric Flair's daughter. What's Charlotte Flair?
Yeah.
She's married to Andrade, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yes. And he just left the WWE, but they know it's a grueling schedule.
Yeah.
They know what the business is like. That's what I'm trying to say. So when you know these things, then you kind of, might more likely have a successful, relationship. But when you start digging into that, you start to realize, man, is this something you really, truly want to do?
No.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, I would never want to do that. Like That's the reason, especially back in the day, they all had drug problems and stuff like that. Because if you, they was in so much pain, you couldn't sleep. So you take something to go to sleep. Then you take something to wake up. And you take something for the pain, and you take, and then you mix in that with alcohol and stuff like that. It's no wonder, like now it's better because they got doctors on the road with them. They got all this stuff that they didn't used to have. Like back in the day, they didn't used to have no doctor come, right back in the backstage area that could figure out what to do with you. They had no concussion protocol. Like seeing the Steiner brothers go in the Hall of Fame. I watched some highlight videos of Scott doing the Frankensteiner. That man landed on his head every time he did that move.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's no wonder he talks out his head. Yeah, he's crazy, man. Big Papa Pump's all crazy.
That's kind of like with Chris Benoit. He used to do that suicide head dive.
Yeah.
And a lot of people told him to stop doing that, and they realized a lot of that was causing some
he would
craziness up there. So like you said though, now they got a lot more. You know what I'm saying, to help you out. But at that time, you was done for. You was done for.
Yeah, it's better now. But like but every once in a while I see somebody, how like it would seem for the most part that nobody's really on steroids anymore. But then I see guys like Elias. And I'm like, hold on now, like there's guys that have decent bodies, like you could tell for Cody Rhodes is not on nothing, but he looked like he was in the gym lifting before he came back. Like he looked like he had he tried to get himself in good shape without using steroids and stuff like that. And Seth Rollins too. Seth Rollins is in good shape, but he doesn't look like he's on drugs or nothing like that. But you see somebody like that, like a lot of people like Brian Cage, he re-debuted on Ring of Honor. And I'm like, come on, man. Like this dude walking out there wide as a semi and legs big as trees and stuff. I'm like, come on. Like nobody, it's obvious now because almost nobody's doing steroids in wrestling anymore. Back in the day, a whole bunch of people was on it. Like everybody on the card was on steroids. But now it gets to the point where it's, nobody's accusing The Miz of being on steroids. Nobody's well, even Roman Reigns, like he's a big dude, but he looks natural. He's not all shredded up in the abs and stuff like that. He's muscled up, but he looks like he probably eats good. And, and he doesn't look like he's on drugs. But, it's like every once in a while you see a guy like that and you're like, okay, I thought they had a wellness policy. Or this guy, no wonder everybody's like, Brian Cage should go back to WWE. And I was like, Brian Cage going to lose 50 pounds if he goes back to WWE because he's going to have to start peeing in a cup again. Like that's not going to happen. But yeah, it's unbelievable. But yeah, we're probably going to get some hate for this because I know there were some people in this group that are big, like, oh, AEW is so different and they're doing stuff so good. It was like, I don't know. They got a nobody for a world champion, in my opinion. And that's probably Hangman Page. It's like, oh, he's so good. It's like, well, he's not drawing any viewers. That's the problem. He's the world champion, and most of the wrestling fans don't know who he is.
Yeah,
like, they didn't do a good job making us know either, because like look, one big difference. WWE has got Cody doing every bit of media this week coming after. They're trying to heat him up and keep him hot. And they're putting him out there everywhere. Every news thing, wrestling news. He's on the WWE's The Bump today. They know what they're doing. Like, they're trying to keep him fresh and hot, like coming off of this. They know what they got. But AEW has, their world champion not appear on TV before he won the belt for like 4 months because his wife had a baby. And then they bring him back on television and he wins some match to get a shot at the title, and then he wins the title. Like the next thing, and I'm like, this is the reason you guys are in the shape you're in. And like, because
that's true. I was just going to say that you got to build them up. It ain't always through matches. It can be through TV appearances. Yeah. It can be like Ronda Rousey was on that TV show 911.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to build them up. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean, I know Ronda Rousey ain't the champion, and they filmed that way before, you know what I'm saying? But still, you got to build them up. So, and once you build them up, then, you know what I'm saying, you get people paying attention. For example, WWE used to have WWF had the magazines. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. They got all these different kind of talk shows and all these reality shows WWE got. If you tap into that market, that's why I say Vince is smart in what
Yeah.
he's doing. That's the reason why I was saying, y'all really think AEW is gonna take the WWE? No. No.
No,
I'm
not the way they're going.
gonna put it like this. At this point in time, no. Maybe 20, 30 years, who knows? But right now, no.
If they're around that long, and if he keeps hemorrhaging money like he's doing, like, that's going to play out one day. That's going to, I mean, you could be a multi-billionaire and have all that money, and they own the Jacksonville Jaguars and some, British football team and all this stuff like that. And yeah, but eventually you could spend all the money you want to, but if you're not creating, I mean, if people ain't buying what you're selling, then it doesn't matter. Like, you don't make any of that money back. I don't know. Eventually they're just going to stay right where they are. But the big thing is what killed WCW was losing TV, and eventually AEW can have billions of dollars and all this stuff like that, and a huge budget. But if TNT or TBS the conglomerate decides, again, we don't want wrestling on our TV anymore, or we want WWE, let WWE be interested in putting a show on their network, and then all of a sudden AEW ain't got TV no more. They just on YouTube or something like that. Because I guarantee if they thought they could get WWE programming on there, they'd probably go with that.
And speaking of TV, let me say this here. I think Vince is smart with this. He got one show on a cable network and one show on a regular station network with Fox.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That's why I say you got to think. Do you really think this? Vince knows how to sell his merchandise. He knows how to sell his talent. He knows how to sell his shows. He even knows how to sell his non-televised shows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, come on now. Think about this. You remember when all these wrestlers used to say, well, you can watch this on WWF Network for $9.99. You know what I'm saying? He knew if you beat that into people's brains, a lot of people, probably not everybody, but a lot of people will start to tune in.
Yeah. It's the same thing now. You could get the Peacock app for not whatever it is, $15 a month or whatever it costs, or you could watch the AEW pay-per-view for $40, $50. Nobody's going to buy, WWE used to charge that much, and they found a way to not charge that much, and they got a much bigger, because WWE knew that TV ratings wasn't where it's at anymore. Like, they wanted to sustain some good TV ratings, but they knew they had to had to be big on YouTube, and they are. There's no way you could match up AEW's numbers to WWE on YouTube. They got shows on YouTube. They got shows on Peacock on that app, and they knew what they're doing. They got a $100 million deal with Peacock to move their content over there off the WWE network. And now that's number one thing on Peacock. So NBC Universal is not trying to get rid of WWE anytime soon, because they know that's drawing bigger numbers than it is on USA or Fox. Like, that's where the big money's at. When they put on the Royal Rumble and it's got millions of people watching it on TV and on Peacock and stuff like that. They know you could still pay $50 for it on pay-per-view, but nobody is, because all you got to do is download an app and watch it for cheap.
Yeah.
And AEW is not even doing that. Like,
that's why I said maybe 20, 30 years down the line when they start to realize it. That's why Vince tapped into the reality TV shows.
Yeah.
He tapped
everywhere.
into that. He tapped into the streaming networks. He tapped into that. Like I said, his merchandise. He tapped. Do you know? Oh,
that's okay. I was moving my phone around. I got to go just a second because I got to go get my son off the bus.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead and your business, man. Go ahead and your business.
All right. No, it was good talking. Hopefully we could have some more. I'd like to hopefully in the future get more people interested in doing like if we could even have like 4 or 5 people in a discussion and discussing. It was good. It's good. Hopefully people will comment below, and we'll see some comments coming up too if they agree or disagree, but friendly. Hopefully not like that dude on Jack's page that was belt hating. We can all, I guess that's the world now. Everybody thinks if you don't agree on something, it's time to scrap or kill somebody or something. But I'm like, no, Like, I don't know. I could disagree with everything somebody says. It don't make me dislike them or hate them or not. So,
Yeah,
you know, that's the
me and
world
you
we
were
live in
talking. We
now.
disagreed on a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah, but I don't. But it ain't worth. Yeah, I'm not gonna get mad about none of it. You know, like, it's not worth it. That's why there's
all right, man.
different.
I don't want to hold you up, man. Go on, handle your business, man. We'll do this again soon. Just hit me up.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, then. Talk to you later.